I want to go ahead and introduce you guys to Laura Estrada, who is with LiftFund, and she is going to talk to you guys about the different types of credit, how credit for your business is different from your personal credit, how to establish it, and how to make sure that you are able to find the funding options that you need to fund your business. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura. But also, a quick reminder, this is being recorded. It will be sent to your inboxes probably in the next day or two. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat section. I will enable that if it's not enabled. And we will get to those at the end of the session. So go ahead, Laura.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is your opportunity to get some education. I am the market manager for LiftFund, and what LiftFund is a nonprofit. We're called a nonprofit micro business lender. We're a CDFI, a community development financial institution, and what we do is we offer funding to small business owners who don't have access to capital from traditional resources. And then we also offer a lot of information as to how to get access to capital. So my goal today is to talk about credit, but from a different opportunity. I have a lot of opportunities recently to be talking to folks that for some reason we're not able to help them with their access to capital. But first off, I do want to introduce you to LiftFund if you do not know who we are. We are headquartered in San Antonio. We were founded in 1994 by Janie Barrera, who has grown our company. She's now retired. She was our CEO president. Our current CEO president is Amy Herford. And with on the screen is my business resource hub partners, DeAndre and Alexandria Grant. We are here to provide credit opportunities. We're also here to help business owners get access to credit. If they don't know how to do it, then we do a lot of coaching. We teach different things. We help them on leadership training. We work with them on their business plan. We help them with their credit. But all in all, it's about teaching them how to be innovative and creative and very successful business owners. And we've been doing this for over 30 years. Our vision and our mission has never changed since 1994. We're here to transform lives. We're here to coach. We're here to help you get access to capital. I'm in the coastal bend. I live in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I actually have the pleasure of being on a college campus with the Small Business Development Center Business Advisors. So I do a lot of partnering with those folks that will also help my clients who are, each other's clients, to help them with financial resources and support services. And part of our role is to partner our business entrepreneurs and existing business owners with information so they can continue to grow and be successful. So in 1994, we had very few offices, but here we are, 2026, fast forward, we are now in all 50 states. And in all 50 states, we have different opportunities to lend. We have different opportunities on how we lend, and we continue to grow and we advance in our ability to help business owners. We offer small business loans, $500 up to $500,000. We're a SBA, we offer SBA loans. We have our own authority. So through the smaller loans, we can do small loans from $2,000 up to $350,000 through the SBA Community Advantage Program, which is the 7A displayed there. And then in partnership with banks, as business owners are growing, if the bank is willing to do a loan, but they don't want to take the full risk, we can go up to $5.5 million with our SBA program in partnership with our banking partners. We have special programs. And so as we continue to develop those programs for veterans, for special interest groups, those programs are displayed on our website. Today, we're in the Kerrville area, and we've been working very closely with them for grant funding for those folks who are negatively impacted by the flooding that happened. I'm going to go back. The other thing is we had special programming during Hurricane Harvey, Katrina. We were in California. We were helping with the fires. So just to let you know, those are the types of things that we do. And we were named Small Business Service by the SBA Servant Lenders because of our best practices. And again, it indicates there that we have multiple resources to help and guide our clients. So I talked earlier about credit. That never goes away. The 5 C's of credit is something that's been around. I've been in the banking industry, traditional banking industry, since the early 70s. I've been with LiftFund now for 13 years. And since we are a nonprofit, all that means is all of our money that we get from our resources, it goes right back into the business. We're not paying anybody, any investors, but we, like the banks and like the credit unions and other lenders, we're focusing on the 5 C's of credit. What I'm finding today, it's been very difficult because the 5 C's of credit means we're pulling credit. We're looking at your character. We pull credit selectively, LiftFund does, from TransUnion. So we're looking at credit history. We're looking at a business's capacity to pay back a debt based on the income from that business. If you're a startup business, well, we're looking at what have you got for capital that you have been able to set aside for resources so that you participate in a loan program with us. LiftFund, like many lenders, we are considered a collateral-based lender. So that what that means is we do not have any unsecured loans, and we do not have lines of credit, which I'll talk about later. We are a collateral-based lender. If you need to buy equipment or if you have some equipment that you've already purchased, but you need some working capital, we will look at that as collateral to secure the loan request. Earlier today, I was talking to a young man. His collateral is all his inventory. Well, non-traditional collateral would be a vehicle with no lien, a vehicle with, has some value, less than 10 years old. And then conditions. In the coastal bend, we're looking at drought conditions. So what are those conditions looking like in your area of the world? So we look at the conditions across the hemisphere to see what is it that is going on in your neck of the world so that we can decide how we can help you. As I said, we're in the Kerrville area right now that were negatively impacted by the drought. And so we're considering how do we help you? The transportation industry, that was something that was negatively impacted because of the changes that are going on right now. So those 5 C's of credit have always been around. And those are the things I want to talk about. How do we create alternative credit if today we can't use the traditional resources that are offered with LiftFund, your bank, or your credit union? Or how do we couple those other resources with maybe a smaller loan that can be offered by LiftFund? And if a bank says no, then how do we use resources that maybe are available from LiftFund? And then how do we create that credit? Okay, so I'm not going to be able to see a show of hands, but when was the last time you faced a credit issue? What was going on in your life? If you're a business owner, needed to borrow some money, did you face a credit issue that the bank said, today you don't meet our credit scoring guideline? That's a credit issue. Maybe you're paying all your obligations on time, but was that something that happened to you? Think about the last time you needed credit and it was an issue based on whatever the underwriting guidelines were from that lender. And who of you have pulled your credit report lately? Annualcreditreport.com. You can get all 3 credit reporting information pieces so that you can look at your credit report to make sure that everything that's on it is correct. I encourage everyone after we get off this call to go and look at your credit report, look at it, identify it. I had another young lady that her loan was absolutely rejected because she didn't realize there were 2 collections on there that she did not know about. Most probably one of them isn't even hers. So think about what are those unforeseen issues that are happening and why haven't you looked at that credit report to make sure that everything's correct? Again, I'm going to identify what can we do to overcome some of those issues. So these are your traditional credit bureaus. You've got Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. Again, LiftFund selectively uses TransUnion. These are the different scores that you get. You hear, what's your FICO score? Oh, my score is bad. It's 650. That's not a bad score. That's a traditional average score. But these are the different scores that are provided to us. Equifax has a Beacon score. Experian has their Vantage score, TransUnion. But FICO scores are what we all hear about. And those FICO scores are important. And those are the scores that will sometimes impact the ability, not that you're not going to be able to get access to credit, but maybe you're not going to get the amount of money that you want. With LiftFund, you can have a low credit score, but if you show that you've been paying all your obligations on time, most probably will help you pay, not help you pay, but help you get a small loan, but maybe not the amount that you wanted because there's some credit challenges there, and maybe your score is low. But we're going to trust you and we're going to take a chance and help you get restarted and rebooted with that access to credit. So that's your credit score. Those are your traditional credit scores. But what about starting a new type of credit? You think about there's two businesses. One stays stuck, the other's scaling up. And what's the difference? Well, how did that person or that business owner get access to credit? I know that we're kind of on the same playing field. Or you have an opportunity that's going to cost $50,000 and you have 10,000 in cash, but you can't get a loan. So what do you do? So you're missing credit opportunities, can't get credit, and then you're not going to be able to profit, you can't grow, and you can't reinvest. With credit, you can, but my bank just said no. My credit union said no. Lyft Fund said yes, but it's not the amount that I wanted. I really needed 50. So let's talk about how do I get that? So you may have heard about business credit. You're building business credit different from personal credit. With LiftFund, you are going to personally guarantee the obligation. If you're an LLC, an S Corp, a sole proprietor, you will always be considered a personal guarantor. The business is expected to pay back that debt. That's with LiftFund, that's with a bank, that's with a credit union. So how do I get out of not having to have a personal guarantee? Well, you can build credit outside of the personal credit. You can get some access to funding. You have to work on it. It gives you a little bit more independence and some resilience. The cost of not using credit sometimes costs you lost contracts that you may have won when you put that bid in with the city or another county. You don't get those discounts you need because you missed the opportunity. You didn't have enough money to get that discount. You're not able to scale up. And then you're growing slower than some of your competitors because you don't have access to that credit. So what are you going to do about it? And the true definition of business credit is a little different in that it's not tied to your FICO score. It's not a personal guarantee. It is credit that's solely based on your business name and your business employer identification number. Most of the time, you do not require a personal credit check. They might be a soft credit check that's going to be taken by a vendor, and we'll talk about how that works. And it doesn't make you personally liable for repayment. We're looking at your business name, your business employer identification number, and your capacity to pay back the debt to whomever is going to give you some alternative credit. The business stands on its own financially. Again, it's separate from you as an individual. Your personal score reflects what type of credit you used. I can look at your credit. I know how much money you have in credit. I know who pulled an inquiry on you. I know your past history. I know that 6 years ago, you had a default that's showing up as a mortgage. It's paid off now, but that stays on your credit history for 7 years. And I see that. And as a lender, LiftFund is willing to look at that, but your traditional lenders will not. So again, this is going to help you get past that need to get access to credit differently. And then what qualifies as this type of credit? It's vendor credit, and we talk about vendor credit suppliers that report to different types of entities, your credit cards that are not with a personal guarantee. It's a little harder to get, but it's usually available for established companies. Your corporate lines of credit, again, outside of your traditional credit, and card credits for gas, fuel, and then equipment financing. So this is what people skip when they're talking to you about business credit. And this is what I want to kind of talk through this for you. Your business is typically established with your business credit. It's established with your business entity. How long has the business been open? We're going to use your employer identification number, as I said. It's a tax ID issued by the IRS. It's not your Social Security number. A business credit profile is created with the Dun& Bradstreet, Experian Business, and Equifax Business. These are trade lines that are being reported for your payment history. So it's not going to take you away from paying on time, but it's being reported differently. It's not being impacted on your personal side when you want to buy a mortgage, buy a new house, and you're going to get a mortgage, or you need to buy a vehicle, or you're going to need some substantial funding to send your child off to college. It's not going to show on that side of that spectrum. And it also is the key thing is consistent revenue and time in business. It's the business's ability to have capacity to pay the obligation. Again, it doesn't take away from the 5 C's of credit. It's just different in the way it's represented. And for most newer business owners, the lenders are going to usually require a personal guarantee. But if you've been established for a couple of years, that may not be the requirement. And then, really important, be cautious of claims that say there's no personal guarantee, there's no credit check, and you could get money instantly. Anyone could get $50,000 in 30 days. And you really can, but those are really some loans that are high interest rate loans. You got to pay it back every day or once a week, and it's based on your how much money you're making on a monthly basis, daily basis, and those are really high rate loans. Some folks said, oh, that's only 7% from my weekly revenue growth. I said, well, if you look at 7% from your weekly revenue growth, that's not 7% loan. That's a much higher loan. A true no personal guarantee credit is earned over time. You got to earn it. You got to show that you're credit worthy. And the way you do it is you start slow. It's based on your business credibility and your track record. And again, repeat, repeat, repeat. It's using your employer identification number. So the business is responsible, but not you personally. And I will tell you that even though it says that, if something happens that somebody wants to sue your business, they can. But if they also want to sue you civilly, they can. So you're protecting your credit so that you have access to usage outside of the business arena. Protects your personal credit and your assets. It gives you larger funding over time. It helps you scale a strong financial foundation for your business, and it makes your business more attractive to lenders and partners. And then again, before you ask for credit, you have to look credit worthy. If you have a reputation that you borrow money from certain vendors and you don't pay back on time, that's a reputational risk. So we want to make sure that that reputational risk stays strong and that you value what you're creating as credit from outside types of financial entities that will work with you on credit. You want to build strength, you want to expand, and you want to leverage all the different ways you can have access to credit. First off, you want to make sure that your business is legally documented. Many folks will tell me I'm an LLC. And when I look up the business, because I go to the state website to look up LLC, I want to see when it started. I want to know the names of the members. I want to know who registered it. And when I go to the website, they're not LLCs. They're not S Corps. They use the LLC thinking that that is an LLC. Most probably they should have registered with the county, and then they'll either be a sole proprietorship or a general partnership. So you want to make sure that you understand how you register your business. And if you're not sure, use the resources of the Small Business Development Center. Get a business advisor to guide you. You can go to a CPA or an attorney, but that's going to cost you some money. You can also use the resources of SCORE. The SBDC and SCORE, they are resources from the Small Business Administration, and they're at no cost to you because we pay for their services through our tax dollars. And then you can come to the two folks that I showed you on the screen earlier, Alexandria or DeAndre, and get some guidance from them as to, am I properly registered? Do I have a filing and a formation? Did I get an EIN number or what am I using? This will separate you from your business legally and financially. And just a note, It does not cost you to get an EIN number. So if somebody charged you money to get an employer identification number, then that was something that should not have happened. So be very conscientious, know your rights, ask questions, and get some advice from the business advisors or contact me at LiftFund so that we can make sure that you're properly getting set up to be. I always ask, what is your legal business name? And you need to know what that is and how it's reported on the website. Always, always open a business bank account. I'm a former banker, and the business bank account is very important because it shows that you're dedicated to managing your business. You have owner's injection of capital that goes into the initial deposit that goes in there. And then everything that goes into that account is income that you generated from whatever type of business you're offering, whether it's a service, whether you're selling a product. And if you're getting, these different payments like Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, make sure that it's being directed into that business account because lenders like LiftFund, the bank, the credit union, we want to know what's your true income. Many times we're not going to be asking for a tax return in my world. I want to see your business bank statement. I want to see, are you truly generating income from services that you offer? Are your expenses being debited out of that business account? You're not using your personal account, or you're not using your business account to pay personal accounts, and you're not using your personal account to pay business accounts. I call it mixing your apples and your oranges. You want to keep those separate. It's very critical. It shares with us that you know how to manage your business as well. And then create a digital presence. Purchase a domain name. Build a simple website. A young man that I was talking to this morning, I was asking him about his business. He goes, well, you can go to my website. I have it out there. And it shows some legitimacy. And it helped me understand the nature of his business because I was a little confused based on the title of his business. And so once I saw that, it gave me some better ideas as to what this business owner was doing because he's in another state. I'm not going to be able to visit with them. And there are different ways to get domains that are not very expensive. And again, you can go to your small business development centers. We've got score advisors that can show you how to get access to those websites. Create a professional business email. Some of our emails that I get are kind of interesting, and it shows that maybe there was some immaturity when this email was started. You want to make sure that you're going to create a very professional email. info@yourbusiness.com is one. Avoid the Gmail, the Yahoo for business credibility. If you can, set up a business phone number, get a dedicated business line. Many of you are using your own telephone number, your personal phone number. That's kind of subjective to privacy issues. I know that I have someone who he runs a business and he has a personal phone number and a business phone number, but he has it on the same cell phone. So there's a way to split those numbers, and that way you have a dedicated business line. And make sure, if you can, have it listed in different directories. I talked about the Dun & Bradstreet. You want to register your business through the Dun & Bradstreet. You go to the website. If you're an LLC and an S Corp, you're going to go to the Dun & Bradstreet website. You're going to claim your business name. You search it, you put it in exactly like the legal entity is documented on your filing and your formation. This is a free service. In the past, there was a fee for this. You're going to find your name, you're going to claim it, and now you're going to create a profile with the Dun & Bradstreet. This is the one new way that business owners that are new to the industry are not aware that you can create this Dun & Bradstreet. Again, it's from your business name and your employer identification number. You want to list your businesses in online directories, Google, Business Profile, your Chamber of Commerce, maybe through the BBB with the Better Business Bureau. You want to make yourself legitimate and keep everything correct. there has been a time when there was an incorrect name because the business owner started with one name as a sole proprietor and then decided to change their name as an LLC. Well, she kept using the DBA, the doing business as the assumed name, and so she was mixing up her true business profile. You want to make sure that you're consistent with everything you represent. Your business name is exactly represented on that legal document from either your county or your state. And make sure to be consistent across the board so that it's properly tracking your credibility as a business owner and with lenders. All right, so we talked about creating credit and it's D&B focused, the Dun& and Bradstreet. So learn who reports to the Dun& and Bradstreet. Once you filed with the D&B and you found your name, and you said, well, now what do I do, Laura? That's a big deal. You're telling us about this. Well, you find companies that report to the Dun& and Bradstreet. Depending on what you do, the nature of your business, you go to companies and you find out, hey, do you report to the Dun& and Bradstreet? Home Depot Pro, if I'm a contractor, Uline, Granger, if I need industrial supplies, Strategic Network, they report to the Dun and Bradstreet. Office Depot does. Who doesn't need office supplies? What you do is you ask them if they report to the Dun and Bradstreet. And if they do, you ask them if you can open up a business account with them. And you open up small accounts with each of them. Don't go crazy getting too much credit, but start making small purchases with that line that they offer you in-house credit. And now you're going to be creating a Paydex score. And on the Dun& and Bradstreet, it says that Laura Leal Estrada, she is a consultant. I'll just say that I'm not, but I'm a consultant. And she has an employer identification number. She has used our funding source. She gets 180 days. We give her product from Office Depot because she needs office supplies. She has clinics that she offers, so she's always making booklets so that she can give to her, uh, facilitate in her training classes, whatever it is, and she pays on time. We give her 180 days to pay back what she has taken on credit, and that lady pays back in 60 days. That's a good credit investment. So if Laura gets a huge job and I get to go to maybe a school district and I get to talk about credit to the young people who are learning and getting ready to go off to college and learning about credit, and maybe they have some entrepreneurial spirits. Well, I need some books and I need some supplies and I need to get, maybe $1,000. Well, now I've earned my right to have a line of credit. So just kind of follow that thought process. How can I get a line of credit that's different from a bank and different from a credit card? And how does that help me? It starts to legitimize my business through my business name and my employer identification number. You're going to search the Dun and Bradstreet. If you don't know who has offers to use the D&B, you can go in there and put in the name of the business, the city and state, and learn who else offers these types of opportunities for different business owners. The other types of growth vendors are Vistaprint, Imprint, Crown Office Supplies, and then fleet and operational credit cards. When I first started with LiftFund, I'd never done so many transportation loans, and these are truck drivers, right? Well, they had these huge credit card bills, but they were always paying them very regularly, so they get their fleet cards. And the best thing about these fleet cards is I'm using it solely for, fuel. And I get to manage my expenses. If I have a couple of employees, I might get a fleet card under the employee's name with the business name on it. With LiftFund, my name is on the card. It says LiftFund, and I'm a user. I'm Laura Estrada. LiftFund is able to monitor my expenses. If you have a transportation service industry or an industry where you have to get cards out for people for fuel, you get to manage their expenses and you know how to manage your daily revenue and your daily expenses. And it's just a very nice way to manage. And what a wow factor when your banker sees that you're always paying your bills on time and you've managed your expenses and you know how to manage your credit cards. Business credit cards, some will not require personal guarantee. corporate lines of credit, depending on what type of corporate lines of credit you ask for. Those are different types of lines of credit. Those are online lenders, business leases, and then equipment financing. When I want a big piece of equipment and for some reason the bank or LiftFund today can't help us, I can go straight to the manufacturer of that big piece of equipment and say, do you offer in-house credit? And if you do, what are your terms? Do you report to the Dun& and Bradstreet? Do you report to Experian? Or do you report to Equifax? And again, they're going to use your business name and your employer identification number. What you need to be very aware of when you use these types of credit is learn the terms, the rates, and the agreements. You don't want to be getting into something that you don't understand. And before you sign a contract, have somebody review it with you. You want to be very careful because this is about your business, your being able to scale up, your ability to compete with others. And this is going to be a way that you can win contracts if you can't get traditional credit. Don't jump to get big funding first. You build credibility in layers. Each tier unlocks the next. You want to make sure that you understand how you're using it. I'm going to go back to the 5 C's of credit. Yes, you're going to use your EIN number. Yes, you're using your business name. But guess what? Anybody that's reporting to the DMB, they're reporting how many trades you have because those people are reporting to the Dun& and Bradstreet. They're recording your payments, your experience, whether you're on time, whether you're overdue, whether there's collections, and whether somebody has had to place a public record on you, placing a lien on your personal property. So it doesn't take that away from the ability to be very disciplined, to learn how to manage your budget with your business, how to manage multiple types of credit. You can get a small business loan with a LiftFund. You can get a business credit card. You can get a fuel card, and you can have an in-house line of credit with your suppliers. Those are multiple uses. They're used to your advantage, and they're creating special scoring mechanisms for you. That DMB, they have a Paydex score. You don't want to be a 1. That's like being a 400 credit score in the FICO score or FICO score. 100 is fabulous. Equifax business scores, those range from 101 to 992. There's another score that people don't talk about, but it's a small business administration score, and you have to be able to meet those numbers for us to use the program at the SBA. It's not SBA loans. It's a program that's a guarantee program that allows the lender to use the SBA program. So we score even through that particular program. And then your experience scores. This one was kind of funny to me because I didn't realize I had so many different scores and what they meant. Of course, your 76 to 100, whoa, considered the very low risk. 51 to 75, medium low risk. 26 to 50, medium risk. 11 to 25, high medium risk. And 1 to 10, high risk. And all that means to you is the possibility that you may get some access to credit. It will be minimal dollars. It might be not even $500. It might be 100. But sometimes all I need is $100 to get me back on my feet. But you don't want to be in that area. You want to make sure that you're following the rules, you're following your disciplines, getting some guidance if you need from a score mentor, from a business advisor with LiftFund, from an SBDC advisor. I had a gentleman today. He said, I just have a business mentor. We met, and anytime I have a question at no cost, I can go talk to him about my challenges. And he talks to me from a different perspective. He sees it from another side of it. It's a good balance. Stay the course. When thwarted, try again, try harder, be smarter, and persevere relentlessly. And that's from John Wooden, the UCLA basketball coach. And don't give up. Giving up means that this probably wasn't your niche, if you will. that doesn't mean that you can't go back and get re-educated, learn more about the business that you thought you wanted to get into, get more information, learn how to clean up your credit on the personal side, learn how to better use credit on the business side, and continue to get education as you're doing today. The key takeaways that I wanted to bring to you is building multiple sources of credit. You can have traditional credit, non-traditional credit, because my company is called a nonprofit, a micro business lender. It's considered non-traditional, and that's because it's not coming from a bank, it's not coming from a credit union. Pay all obligations on time, protect your credit history. It can affect access to capital. On tier 4, I didn't mention when we talked about credit cards, if you want to get a business credit card, there are 4 companies that do offer business credit cards, and I'm sorry that I didn't think about this until now. One is called RAMP, RAMP. Capital One has some good credit cards with reward points, Chase and Bank of America. And these companies are using your business name and your EIN number. Are there any questions before I move on, Katie?
Yeah, we had a couple questions from Ken. One here is, do you use DUNS to review business credit history? If so, how can business owners check their status? Additionally, if they do not have a DUNS number, how can they establish an account?
So the way you're going to do it is you're going to go to the Dun and Bradstreet, and I should have probably captured the, what do you call it? The URL to go in there, but the DUNS number is the Dun and Bradstreet. You're going to go to DUNS in Bradstreet, and then you're going to register. You're going to claim your name with the business entity name, the EIN name, and then you can ask for history. Once you start using the services of businesses who are offering you credit and they're reporting it to the Dun and Bradstreet, that's how you'll recognize the history that they're reporting on you.
Okay, and he's got one more, which is, you mentioned annualcreditreport.com to review personal credit reports. Is there something similar for business credit reports?
Yes, you'll go to those different websites, Experian, Business, and Equifax. And then I don't know if they have a fee for you, but I know the traditional credit bureaus, you're allowed one a year. And usually the first year when I tried it, I got all 3 of my reports through traditional ones. And then I staggered my reports after that. I had some fraudulent activity on my account. So now I really pay attention to my credit reports. Plus, there are a lot of activities that are going on. You get them all the time in the mail. Some of our big stores have been compromised. So you can get your first 3 from your traditional one. It's at no cost. And then you stagger your request after that every 6 months, every 9 months, and you go to each and every one differently. And many of you have some other reporting mechanisms through your financial institution. So that's how you do it. The other, I don't know if there's a cost, but you can get your information from them.
So this is so you can do this with your business credit,
Yes,
right? Okay, okay. Yeah, I think those are the only 2 questions we had so far.
very good. And then these are our how to connect with LiftFund, our business center, our website, our toll-free number. I am located in Corpus Christi. I service multiple counties in the coastal bend in Texas. I also service the state of Louisiana and occasionally the state of Georgia. We are a lean and mean lending machine. We try our best to service our clients. We're called LiftFund, and I always say, if you can dream it, we will try very hard to help fund it. I coach to managing your credit. I coach to how do you have multiple resources for credit and how do you limit that credit? Because in this world, for the businesses, we did not used to have the personal guarantee. It wasn't until after 2008, after the crash of the financial market, that it became a standard practice that not only are you going to have your business have to pay back a debt, then if that business for some reason is not able to pay back their obligations, you are personally signing a document that you are going to pay back that debt any way that you can. So you're giving us a personal guarantee. LiftFund, to let you know, we are highly rated by the SBA, Aries, and Charity Navigator, mainly because of our transparency and because of the way we're able to reach out to different communities and work in partnership with the BBB, SCORE, the SBA, the SBDCs, and our economic development centers throughout our footprint in the whole of United States. This is me and how to contact me. I appreciate the time that you spent today, and I'm more than willing to schedule appointments if there's other questions that you may have with respect to credit and opportunities available to you throughout our footprint.
Thank you so much, Laura. So we still have time. So if anybody has any questions or anything that you guys want to discuss here, we definitely have some time to do that. So I'll give you guys just a little bit to get that in if you need. And if not, we'll go ahead and end it. I'll give this just maybe like a minute or so. Excuse me. But wanted to remind you guys also about again about the May webinar that will be coming up last Thursday of the month at noon instead of 1 o'clock. That's going to be on cybersecurity for your business. So a lot of great information that we will have at that time with thank you, Ken, with
Stay dry. I wish we had more rain.
yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, we definitely, I don't know where everybody else is logging in from, but we are in Corpus Christi and we are in massive drought as we are most years, but especially this year. So if you guys have been looking at the news at all, you've probably seen us in it. Uh, so yeah, we'll
We're
take
very
all
famous for a small community.
famous or infamous, I don't know. But we'll
That
take all the
too.
rain and make it good. So it doesn't look like we have any other questions, but you guys will again receive this recorded webinar probably in the next day or two. And then if you all have any questions beyond that, you can get Laura's information from the webinar or from the webinar or from us. Of course, we can always send that to you or any BBB questions that you guys have, please reach out. And we are here to help, but it looks like that is all we have. So thank you all for logging on today. And of course, thank you, Laura, for doing this for us. We really, really appreciate you taking the time to help our small businesses.
Thank you. And you too. Thank you for all that you're doing for our community. You have a great day. Take care,
Thanks. Bye,
everybody.
everybody.